Ok, hola a todos, soy Kyle y tengo conmigo hoy Kristina. Kristina, muchas gracias por estar conmigo.
Sí, de nada, gracias Kyle por invitarme y saludos a todos, mucho gusto.
Ok, Kristina, lo que hago en mi canal es hago contenido para ayudar hispanohablantes a aprender inglés o mejorar su inglés, pero también me encanta hacer videos así como conversaciones en los idiomas que hablo. Y para dar motivación y como mostrar lo que se puede hacer si hablas idiomas. Hace 3 años no pude tener una conversación así y es como un superpoder, pienso.
No, sí, es muy bonito que has aprendido el español y que lo hables. Yo con mucho gusto participar pues en esta interview.
Genial. Nos conocemos en la escuela secundaria hace como 13 años o 14 años, pienso.
Mucho tiempo ya.
¿Sientes vieja?
Me siento, sí, me estoy empezando a sentir vieja. Me gradué en el 2010 de la secundaria, creo que unos años después que tú, ¿no?
Sí, yo fue 2009. Ok, muy cool, genial, chido hablar contigo de nuevo.
Sí.
¿Y de dónde es tu familia?
Mi familia, los dos nacieron en Jalisco, México, en unos ranchitos fuera de la ciudad de Colotlán, Jalisco, que está cerca de la frontera de Zacatecas. Y pues sí, ya de ahí nacieron de pequeños, ahí vivieron toda su vida hasta que se mudaron a los Estados Unidos.
Ok, ¿y tú has visitado México?
Sí, de pequeña me llevaron mis papás casi en cuanto nací. Entonces, ni un año y ya íbamos en avión para México a visitar a mis abuelitos para que me conocieran. Y después de eso, casi cada año íbamos. Ya de más grande era un poco más difícil ir. Am, por ejemplo, ya que entré a la universidad, pasaron como unos 7 años que no fui a México y volví a ir en el 2019 después de mucho tiempo.
Ujú. Ok, genial. ¿Y te gusta ir a México? ¿Qué piensas de México?
Me encanta, fue muy bonito crecer con esa experiencia de poder conocer a mi familia que vivía en México, porque mis abuelitos y la mamá de mi mamá, porque mi abuelito falleció antes que yo naciera.
Lo siento.
am, no, está bien, pero, o sea, fue muy bonito conocerlos y convivir porque no vivían acá y pues estábamos muy lejos, pero lo bueno que mis papás tuvieron la dicha de tener permiso con su residencia y después con su ciudadanía de viajar y regresar a México. Entonces, para mí fue una experiencia muy bonita de ver la cultura, las tradiciones, conocer a mi familia, pero, o sea, es un mundo completamente diferente.
Ujú.
Ah, la comida, las casas, todo muy diferente a lo que vive uno acá en los Estados Unidos.
Claro. Me encantaría algún día ir a México. Algún día voy a ir, sin dudas, sin dudas.
Tienes que ir.
Ok, ¿tus papás hablan inglés o solamente español?
Am, hablan inglés ahora, pero yo pienso que lo hablan bien, pero ellos no tienen tanta confianza como mi mamá en su trabajo. Tiene mucha pena en veces hablar inglés, pero creo que ya como han pasado muchos años, se les ha quitado la pena. A mi papá le vale y habla su inglés como le sale. Y hay gente que sí les da como un poco de, como "Oh, no te entiendo o puedes, aprende mejor el inglés", les dicen cosas, ¿no? Pero
Ujú.
ellos pues han llegado al punto donde ya tienen más confianza y pues si se entienden bien, si no, pues ni modo.
Genial. Puedes dar tu mamá mi canal para ayudarla.
Voy a-
Saludas la mamá de Cristina.
Claro.
¿Cómo fue como crecer acá en los Estados Unidos en una familia latina?
Fue para mí de pequeña, yo creo que no noté mucha la diferencia hasta que empecé a ir a la escuela y tener amigos que no eran mexicanos o hispanos, ¿no? Y los niños de pequeña no entienden. En veces había ciertas cosas que que no entendían o se reían de mí. Por ejemplo, un día era en el kinder, que era como un día de usar como pantuflas, slippers a la clase. Y yo no tenía como de ese tipo de slippers, de pantuflas, tenía como unas chanclas.
Ujú.
Y o sea, yo entendí que era eso, ¿no? Entonces me fui con mis chanclas y todos los demás niños, o sea, se les hizo curioso. ¿Y por qué traes esas chanclas? No son pantuflas como de dormir. Y yo, no sé. Am, pero así pues cositas pequeñas que me empecé a dar cuenta ya estar en la escuela y convivir con otros niños que yo tenía, pues sí, perspectivas diferentes, que había diferencias como en las comidas que yo comía. Pero lo bueno, yo creo que también la ciudad en donde crecí, Salt Lake Station, pues, sí tiene diversidad y había otros niños hispanos y entre más grande había más diversidad en la área. Entonces, no sé, ya después no se me hacía tanta la diferencia con otros estudiantes,
Sí.
ah, pero como me sentía yo más a gusto y más segura, como con gente no sé, con esas raíces que entendían, más a gusto que ni con gente que no tenía esa cultura o que entendía, no sé. So, eso sí se me hizo un poco difícil, pero bien. Y el español fue mi primer idioma, pero ya empezando la escuela y viendo caricaturas en inglés, aprendí rápido el inglés. Yo creo que pues de pequeña, ¿no? Que mis papás me enseñaron el español, pero también me dejaban hablar inglés. Entonces,
Como 5 años o algo así.
ya como a los 5. Y en el kinder también la maestra era bilingüe y me ayudaba mucho, entonces pronto me acoplé al idioma, pero eso de las diferencias culturales sí um, me batallé pues un poco más con eso.
Sí, sí, claro. Sí, tienes razón. En nuestra escuela pienso que puedo pensar en como 2 estudiantes que no hablan ni un poquito de inglés. No voy a
Sí,
decir nombres, pero sí, había muchos latinos, mexicanos, puertorriqueños.
sí,
Sí, muchas personas latinas en esta escuela.
sí,
Ok, y también quiero decir que estoy poco celoso yo sé que tenías tal vez retos o challenges
ujú.
crecer así, pero ahora hablas español y inglés tal vez mejor que yo.
Pues sí, yo estoy muy agradecida con mis papás de que me hayan enseñado el español, también a leer y a escribir, no solo a hablar. No lo escribo perfectamente, como en veces batallo con los acentos y también yo sé que no lo hablo muy, muy bien, pero no sé, me ha ayudado mucho personalmente, yo creo, y profesionalmente también ha abierto oportunidades y para mí poder comunicarme con gente del habla hispana es algo muy bonito y también creo que me conecta mucho más a mi cultura y a mis raíces. Y el poder hablar con mi familia de México es algo muy bonito porque hay gente que nace y crece aquí en los Estados Unidos que después solo hablan inglés y no pueden comunicarse con familia. Y eso se me hace muy triste.
Sí, sí, qué horror. Pienso que no sé si hay millones, pero por supuesto miles
Sí, sí,
de niños y adultos jóvenes aquí que no hablan español y son 100% mexicanos. Tengo un amigo que no habla ni una palabra en español y es mexicano.
sí,
Es como no, cómo se puede conectar con su cultura.
sí, lo hace mucho más difícil.
Mm,
Pero por otro lado, también entiendo, en veces los papás quieren como que no batallen como ellos batallaron, que se integren más,
sí.
que los hacen un poco para protegerlos, pero a la vez sí hace un daño, ¿no? De que les falta eso.
Y tal vez hace, no sé, 30 años, algo así, 40 años, había más como racismo,
Sí.
pero ahora es como, ¿por qué no hablas español? Es
Ay,
como, sí, pero entiendo que en esta época fue como, queremos ser americanos, vamos a hablar inglés, vamos a trabajar, vivir acá.
sí, claro.
Vi tu post en Facebook. Dijiste que tu familia vino aquí para darte más oportunidades. Vamos a hablar luego en inglés sobre lo que lograste aquí. Pero tus padres deben ser muy orgullosos de ti, ¿verdad?
Sí, están súper orgullosos y no sé, pues nunca me ha faltado nada. Han sido unos padres estupendos. Yo estoy muy bendecida con mis padres. Son muy buena gente, pero muy trabajadores y me han dado todo el cariño y apoyo que alguien como yo pues hubiera querido como hija. Am, y hasta más, pues yo no les podría dar suficientes gracias. Con todo lo que llegue a lograr, nunca va a alcanzar para mí poder darle las gracias de todo, pero sí están muy orgullosos y me, me da emoción de poder hacer los orgullosos.
Sí, genial, genial. Imagino que ellos han trabajado muchísimo para poder darte esas oportunidades.
Sí, bastante.
Quiero decir preguntarte esto porque es algo que a veces pienso. A veces cuando hablo idiomas diferentes siento un poco diferente, como no de una personalidad diferente, pero no sé, tal vez a veces tengo un poco más confianza en español o algo así. ¿Sientes diferente cuando estás hablando español o inglés?
Honestamente, un poco, como cuando hablo español, no sé, como se me hace más bonito, como que me puedo expresar más. Tiene como un poco más de un ritmo y hay ciertas palabras que en veces estoy teniendo una conversación en inglés y no sé, pienso "Oh, la palabra en español queda perfecto aquí, pero, o sea, estoy hablando en inglés, ¿no? So sí se siente un poco diferente, igual, pues soy yo, ¿no? Pero diferente,
Sí.
que sí, la forma de expresarse y cómo lleva a cabo uno su ritmo o cadence cuando habla, ¿no?
Ujú. So, tu cultura
Ujú.
mexicana es muy importante para ti.
Para mí, yo diría que es muy, muy importante porque para mí mi cultura está muy integrada en mi familia. Yo soy muy apegada a mi familia, especialmente a mis papás y tengo un hermano menor, perdón. Yo le llevo con 4 años, pero también, pues sí, como de pequeña viajaba mucho a México y conocí a mi familia allá y tengo una familia grande. Muchos tíos, muchas tías, muchos primos. Y pues sí, como muchas de las cosas que hacíamos, como íbamos a la iglesia cada domingo, la iglesia católica en español, con tradiciones mexicanas, que como en diciembre hay un día para la Virgen de Guadalupe, donde los niños se visten como gente indígena de México y le llevan rosas a la Virgen. Para mis fiestas de cumpleaños había comida y postres mexicanos y piñatas. Y eso todo lo asocio con partes de mi cultura, pero a la vez también con mi familia. Entonces, para mí es muy importante y algo que ojalá si un día llego a tener familia, me gustaría también inculcarles pues sí, esa parte de mi cultura, de las tradiciones, el español, la comida, todo que pertenece a lo que yo conozco que es México.
Ujú. Ok.
Yeah.
¿Usas tu español a menudo?
Yo diría que sí. Desafortunadamente en el trabajo no lo uso tanto y pues sí, estando aquí en los Estados Unidos, pues se usa, you know, como digo, va uno a la tienda o lo que sea, pues siempre se comunica uno en inglés. Pero como estoy muy, como soy muy cercana a mi familia y casi nos hablamos todos los días, pues platico con ellos en español todo el tiempo. Am, en el trabajo también sí, aunque sea una compañía americana, tenemos unos compañeros que son de Argentina. Entonces, para cosas del trabajo hablamos en inglés porque es más fácil expresarnos, pero yo siempre cuando comienzo una conversación en español, hola, ¿cómo están? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo les va? Y platicamos un poco de cosas personales en español antes de hablar de cosas del trabajo. Entonces yo lo más que pueda trato de usar mi español. También en escuchar música, ver películas, todo eso. aunque no esté uno conversando pues con una película, pero estás escuchando y eso. So, yeah, me encanta.
Sí, yo también me encanta ver series, películas, música en español. Es como tener dos opciones gigantes de entre, ¿cómo se dice? Entretenimiento.
Sí,
Sí, y es genial. Me encantan los series en español. He visto mucho en Netflix.
yeah. Sí, abre tus opciones, como dices tú, al doble. Tienes mucho más que puedes disfrutar en forma de entretenimiento.
Claro, claro. Ok, ahora en inglés. Like I said, your English is just like mine. You've been here. You
Yes.
grew up here and went to school here. So I think that's something pretty cool for the people who are watching this to see, because a lot of the people who are watching this are from Colombia or Venezuela, Peru. So maybe they don't know how many Latinos are here in the United States that speak English and Spanish like a native in both languages. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
You said you were born in Mexico, but you came here when you were 1 year old?
So I was actually born in California.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I was maybe like 3 months old when we moved to Indiana. So grown up in Indiana all my life. But my parents, yeah, were both born in Mexico and immigrated to the United States when they were, I think my dad was like 17 when he first came to this country, but he was back and forth for a bit. And then my mom, when she got married at 22, came with my dad. So they were fairly young and they're in their late 50s. So they've been here for plus 30 years now.
Okay. So you had to learn English. You didn't just come up speaking both of them at the same time. You had to learn English when you were little?
Yes. So since both of my parents, I was born a year after they were married and like officially living here. They were both still really new to English. And since they were in California, a lot of people speak Spanish, so they didn't really have a need to learn English at that point. Until they moved to Indiana, which had a lot less of a Hispanic population at the time. So they, through work, were kind of like had to start to pick up English. But I remember my mom's first job as like a busser at a restaurant. She didn't really know English, and luckily the people that were there were very nice and like helped her. And just with practicing every day, she picked it up. But yeah, as a kid, my first language was Spanish, and then I don't remember my parents speaking to me in English as a kid. It wasn't until later, maybe like, I don't know, I might have been like 10 or 12 when they kind of started talking to me more in English because they wanted to practice with me. But yeah, I picked up English, I would say, like once I was starting kindergarten and watching cartoons and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So what was that like? What was the process like of speaking Spanish, going to a school and having to be thrown right into English?
Yeah, so I don't remember too much, to be honest. I think it was kind of seamless. I don't know. I think a kid, like you underestimate how intelligent they are. And looking back, to me, it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I really struggled. I'm not trying to say I was like, a kid genius or anything. I just kids were like very smart, and I don't think they notice, at least from what I remember. It was all very kind of seamless. Like I think I was aware that they were two different languages. Like I would go to kindergarten and I would hear the teacher speaking English, and so I would like be like, okay, I need to speak English. But luckily she was bilingual, so she did help me. Sometimes words I didn't know, she would just like jump in and make sure that I was understanding. But yeah, I don't really feel like I struggled that much as a kid looking back. I think just being here and, with English TV, I would also watch Spanish TV shows though as a kid, like Spanish cartoons. But yeah, I just kind of like remember, I don't know, you just kind of like instinctively kind of pick up what you were supposed to do and when, I don't know. So I think kids are just really smart, and looking back, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool that I was able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. My son is 7,
Mm-hmm.
and he's taking Spanish classes, and we have an app he uses, and he's getting to where sometimes I'll be speaking Spanish with my girlfriend or whoever, whatever, I'm speaking Spanish, and he'll pick up a word and say, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to go there. And I'm like, ¿Entiendes, cabrón? Wow.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so much easier. They're like, a sponge, and he's gonna pick up everything.
Mhm. So I was like 27 when I started learning Spanish.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's amazing that your Spanish is great, I think.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And it's because I love it. I love being able to speak with people, and I've been able to speak with people from all over the world, and it's like
Yeah.
a super fun, awesome hobby to me. And I'm trying to help other people because now I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Have you ever, as an adult, tried to learn another language? Or are you interested in any other languages?
Yeah, so I did take in French, or sorry, in high school I took French. And I feel like I don't know, I felt pretty confident about it when, I was graduating as a senior. I'm like, okay. And I did like listen to French music and try to watch like movies in French, like actual French movies. And I don't know, I wish I had kept up with it though. I went to college and instead I thought, oh, like I could minor in Spanish. I think Spanish is um I don't know, there's more Spanish speakers in the world
Mhm.
versus French. So I thought it might be more helpful for me going into business. That's what I majored in as an undergrad. And I don't know, I just felt like there would be more opportunity with it. But looking back, I really wish I had instead taken French in college and kind of tried to do the trilingual thing, and I don't know, been better about that. But now more recently, actually, I started listening to French music again. Like some like new disco stuff. Like it's really fun and I can catch some words and I'm like, maybe I should try to get back into it. So I am very interested in at least trying to pick up French again, just because I feel like I have a little bit of a basis. But I also like, I think Portuguese would be fun. Any of the like romance languages that kind of branch off of, Latin would be cool just because I know Spanish, I think might be easy, but who knows? I think it's amazing though that you at 27 picked it up. I feel like it's very difficult, but if you're passionate, you can definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's possible. I know people that have started learning, at 50, and
Yes,
it is possible. They say, oh, you can't learn when you're older, but that's just an excuse. You can if you want to.
definitely. I completely agree.
And if you do decide to learn French, tell me, we'll make a video with 3 languages.
Awesome. Cool. You'll have to maybe watch some of your French speaking videos to try to get back into it.
For sure. Well, my French sucks, but I could talk with somebody who's patient.
Okay.
So I was talking to my girlfriend the other day. We were in Chicago. Like I said, she's Colombian, and she was saying like she hasn't had any type of situations out there where people have treated her differently for being, Latina, because obviously Chicago is like a melting pot. Have
Yes.
you experienced any type of racism here in Indiana or the US in general for, being Latina? I can't speak on it, but I would like to hear your opinion.
Yeah. I would say, and I mean I don't know. I think a lot of people don't think I'm Latina or Mexican. They would never guess Mexican. So people always think I'm like white or half if I'm,
Italian.
yeah, something like, yeah, they're like, are you like, yeah, not ever Hispanic or Mexican for sure. So I think, and this sounds kind of bad, but I think just being like lighter skinned and maybe having like finer features, more like Europe, I don't know, like people have said, oh, you look more like European, like Spain, Italian, whatever. I think helped. But I have seen my parents, because of their like speaking Spanish, and obviously it's, they have an accent, have been, you know, said mean things too, and they have been discriminated against. And that's always been really hard for me. I always try to stand up for them, or if I see someone struggling with their Spanish and people like not even giving them a chance, like, hey, do you need help? Like, I'll help translate, or like try to make them feel better too about like, hey, don't worry about it, like you're trying, right? But me personally, I wouldn't say there were a lot of instances of discrimination. Again, as a kid, it was a little like kids would make fun of me for certain things, like, you know, I don't know, things that I didn't understand, or like also, I guess like they would be like, oh, you have like hairy arms or like a mustache, things like that. That just like as a kid, it's like, okay, we're kids, whatever. But yeah, luckily I never personally had to go through any like moments like that, but I have seen other people go through that, and it's extremely difficult for me to see like people I care about and love, my parents especially, have to go through stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as like, oh, you don't know how to say this in English or your accent, if you speak whatever your native language is and 100 words of another language, you speak 100 words more than somebody who only speaks English. So
Exactly.
I'm like, how many languages do you speak before you start talking, crap about somebody who is struggling trying to speak their second or sometimes third language?
Exactly. Yeah. It's, like they're making an effort to speak a language that, you speak and understand and trying to make you feel comfortable. And the fact that they're kind of getting outside of their comfort zone, just to completely disregard them and not try to engage and understand what they're saying, I think is complete lack of like, I don't know, just very disrespectful.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw on your Facebook, like I said, that you got your master's degree recently.
Yes.
Awesome, super cool. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
What is your degree?
So I got my master's degree in business administration, so an MBA, through DePaul University at Chicago. And my undergraduate degree was in business marketing. And for my MBA, I also concentrated in business. But yeah, it was a 2-year program. I was able to work full time and attend classes in the evening. So that was really like nice that it was flexible. But it was a great experience. I am really happy that I did it and I'm done. So I'm very, very excited to see where I kind of take that and what opportunities are opened.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope nothing but the best for you. I can only assume you worked very, very hard for that. So I'm sure your hard work will pay off.
Yes, I hope so.
Okay, we only have 7 more minutes because I have the cheap Zoom. So I just want to ask you one more question. So your parents, they worked hard to get you here. They worked their butts off to provide for you and give you these opportunities. To me, that sounds like the American dream. A lot of people say the American dream's dead or dying.
Yeah.
What do you think about el sueño americano, the American dream?
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I think, my parents, I think just seeing how, or them realizing how they grew up, they didn't want their family to grow up that way. Not that it was bad necessarily, but, they came from a small farm town, worked very hard even as kids, helping their parents like farm the land and grew up fairly poor. And I think they just thought, okay, we could go to the United States and we'll be able to, have a better, trying to say like better living standards, I guess, versus what they grew up with. And they just wanted the best for their family, which I completely understand. And I can't thank them enough for all the sacrifices and hard work they've done. So just seeing like where they come from, I grew up, and it's very humbling and I very much appreciate that. But yeah, seeing like the farms that they grew up on and how they lived and I still will never understand completely everything they went through, right? But to now that, they speak English fairly fluently, they're working and, it's blue collar jobs, but they, my dad has managed to like move up in his company. He's like an assistant manager and I'm super proud of him.
Yeah.
And my mom too, like she's always worked in restaurants, but more recently left to get a better job at a factory and like makes better money. They have their home that they paid off. I never needed any like they were always like able to give us everything that we needed and a lot of stuff that we wanted that as kids looking back was a little selfish, but you're a kid and you don't understand.
For sure.
But yeah, I think the American dream is still alive. I think it's different now though. I feel like the cost of living obviously has gone up and inflation, all that. It is a lot harder, but if you do think about it, in Mexico, it is still very hard to live, to make money and to survive, but it's just a different form of life. Like, I feel like here you're kind of working to live, and in Mexico, you're kind of just like living to live life more so. Like, yeah, you work.
Survival kind of, right?
Exactly. So yeah, it's different, but I definitely think it's still like, alive and out there, and there's still opportunities here. Even though Mexico is progressing, there is a lot of like, unfortunately, like drug violence and all that. So it is very hard to like raise a family and make money out there. So
yeah, and maybe had your parents not decided to come here, you might not have got I'm sure you wouldn't have got the same degree anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like it did open up opportunities. And not that I don't think I would have like wanted to study and be successful. And I could have in Mexico. Like I have some of my older cousins that have like daughters out there that are in school. One of them, is going to be a lawyer. So it's not like you don't have the same opportunities, but I think it would have been more difficult. And I don't know. Again, just looking back, and very appreciative that they were, wanted to do that. And I'm always going to strive to kind of help make sure that their sacrifices aren't for naught. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great attitude. I think a lot of people don't understand or appreciate what their parents did for them, really, and myself included. My mom watches all my stuff. She'll probably see this, so I'm sorry, Mom. Okay. So to wrap this up, do you have any type of advice that you would give to somebody who's trying to better themselves, learn English and achieve something new in their life?
Yeah, I like to think, I don't know, I always thought like, oh, I should have gone back to school sooner, but really it's never too late to do anything that you've wanted to do or set your heart on. Like even if you don't succeed, but at least giving it a shot. And if it's something that you're really passionate about, I think, if you're determined, you can definitely achieve it. So I don't know, I think my biggest thing is it's never too late. And as long as you just try, that's all you really need to do. So whether that be, school, a job, English, whatever it might be, just trying to find those opportunities and make sure that you at least give it a shot.
Okay, awesome. It was really fun for me to be able to speak in Spanish and even catch up in English with you. So thanks so much for helping me out with this.
Of course, Kyle. Thank you. It was a pleasure, again, speaking with you and catching up. So nice to see you and to be a part of this. I hope that this is helpful to someone. But yeah, very happy to have caught up, and I appreciate the opportunity.